Hey guys, this is Jeremy from 78 Productions, and I have a couple of ideas for you guys on how to implement search filtering within your church and how to interact with church leadership on this. So today we are talking about how to be able to implement church filtering for your church against pornography, but also interacting with church leadership. And this discussion actually came light of a podcast that's going to be releasing on Friday, where the entire episode is talking about how to fight pornography, and we get to talk with the people from triplexchurch.com. A wonderful conversation. You need to check it out this Friday. This is actually a larger series of conversations that we're having all year about how to fight against pornography within the church. And I love the idea that church technology could take up the cause to be able to fight pornography within the church. So today I want to talk to you guys about what does it mean to be able to talk to church leadership on pornography. If you do not have a church ministry filtering system, as far as being able to say, no, we're not going to let people look at pornography here at church, you need to do so. You really need to have something like that. Not only because people come into your church on Sundays and they have wide access to your internet, you need to have filtering for something like that. But then also the statistics say that up to 40% of church leadership has a problem with pornography. And so if we believe those statistics, if we give them any kind of just our cause or justification of what we are doing, we need to be able to say we are going to protect our leadership here at work. We are going to support them in not being able to look at something like that. So the question comes about with this is, if church technology is in charge of filtering for your entire church's system, what happens if a church leadership, a senior pastor, a secretary, a youth pastor, or a deacon looks at pornography while at church? How are you going to have that conversation with them? And in my belief in this is if the church technology ministry is going to uphold the filtering of it, they need to be able to engage with the leadership just as if they were engaging with someone that is just a congregation member. And so how do you have that conversation? I have two ideas for you on this. The first is make a blanket universal system that is engaging with everybody and have it be able to have it on print, signed before you even start this entire ministry process. So you would have a covenant, maybe you have membership classes, maybe whenever church leadership signs up, they sign a document somewhere on there within the statement of faith that says, I know that pornography is bad and I will not do it. And if I do have a problem with pornography, that I will seek help within the church or outside of the church. This is a universal cause that is for church members, for new time visitors that are saying, I want to join the church, as well as church leadership that are signed on board as well. So when you have that conversation, you find out that the senior pastor is looking at pornography, that you can go to them and say, hey, I've seen what's been going on, we need to have a discussion. They can't come back to you and say, well, I'm over you, you can't talk to anybody about this, or I'm ashamed about this, you need to hide it, cover it up, or here are my reasons for justifying it. It's on paper, it's on print, the conversation's already been had, and it applies to everyone. And so now you have you have ethical responsibility to be able to have that conversation with them, that your morals are not conflicting with what you should be doing for work, and that you don't have to worry about your job position as far as the interaction with the superiors in your ministry. The second part of this is I would encourage you to have outside counseling with all of this. If a church member that is not leadership, that is not volunteers or staff, falls into pornography, they could probably go to the senior pastor, have that conversation with them. But what happens when that senior pastor is the one that's struggling, or another person that is supposed to be in charge of something like that is struggling? Have somebody set aside before an incident happens, before a crisis is underway, that you're able to say, we want to identify you as our individual counselor, where you are going to help people with pornography when we need to send them to you. And so whenever you talk to a senior pastor, you can sit down with them and say, hey, I've seen what's been going on, we need to have a conversation. We've already had this talk about where we're going to be sending people, and I want you to go sign up for counseling at this place. That's something that we need to have follow-up with, we need to have the deacons talk about, but we've already prescribed that this is what's going to happen universally. It doesn't matter if you're a senior pastor or first day as a Christian under this church. You need to go do this. And so everything's been laid out, the conversations are easy to be had. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say with this topic, because it's a very sticky situation, it's very uncomfortable, and yet it needs to be had. I think the church tech ministry owns something like this, so they can be the people to fight against pornography. They have the skills to be able to do something like this. But when you're talking about church leadership, senior pastors, they're supposed to understand the word, and then they're falling into sin. How do you go to your superiors and have these conversations with them? Would you do something different than what we would have, or are you already implementing something like this? So leave your guys' comments below, and we'll talk to you guys next week.